Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, India all set for the third phase of parliamentary election to be held on Tuesday. 93 seats up for grabs across 11 states and union territories. Israel orders Palestinian civilians to leave the southern Gaza city of Rafa. Hamas warns of consequences. US President Biden speaks to Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu. France's president and EU Commission chief urged China's Xi to ensure a balanced trade. Macron calls for coordination on Ukraine. Von der Leyen says unequal market access and Chinese state subsidies hurt the ties. And Russia plans to use tactical nuclear weapons in a military exercise. It's the first time Russia has publicly announced such a drill. All right, first up, let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. The third phase of India's parliamentary election will be held on Tuesday. 93 constituencies are up for grabs in various states and union territories. Elaborate arrangements have been made. Polling parties were being dispatched to the polling stations. 25 seats of Gujarat, 14 seats of Karnataka, 11 of Maharashtra, 10 of Uttar Pradesh and the union territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu will go to the polls. 1,351 candidates are in the fray. So elaborate arrangements have been made for a free, fair and transparent election in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. Akshay Dongre reports from Bhopal.
Thousands of polling officials at the distribution centers in Bhopal preparing for the third phase of general elections. These poll officials, after collecting required equipment, moved to their respective polling booths a day in advance for the voting procedure.
Whatever is possible, we will make sure that everything will be happen smoothly.
It's a very different kind of experience. Not everyone gets this experience. I have been appointed as a polling officer for the 5th time.
From adequate food and water arrangements to healthcare centers, all arrangements have been put in place by the Election Commission of India to ensure that the officials and volunteers face no difficulty in conducting their duty. A total of 9 constituencies of Madhya Pradesh will go to polls in the third phase. These 9 constituencies have a total of 19 districts, 127 candidates, 118 male candidates and 9 women candidates. Maximum number of candidates are from Bhopal at 22. The least number of candidates are from Bhind at 7. There are over 17 million voters in these 9 constituencies. Over 500,000 voters in the age group of 18 to 90. Over 20,000 polling booths. Special arrangements at polling booths for differently abled voters. The Election Commission has made an appeal to encourage people to exercise their rights and cast their ballot. Special arrangements have been made at the sensitive polling booths in the state.
We have taken extra steps for the third phase. A massive campaign has been launched at the booth level. A week-long activity has been planned at every booth so that one can engage with the voters and motivate them, educate them to come out and vote on the day of polling.
The polling body has also made strict security arrangements and has even seized a huge amount of unaccounted goods and cash to ensure that elections are conducted in a free and fair manner.
Since the date elections were announced up till now, 280 crores worth of goods have been seized. which were unauthorized.
Thousands of polling officials working with utmost dedication, accuracy and transparency to conduct free and fair elections in their constituency. And in each and every constituency across the country, similar kind of efforts are made by these polling officials that make the world's largest elections possible. In Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, with camera person Ramakant Sharma, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
4 parliamentary seats of West Bengal will go to the polls on Tuesday. Among them, Murshidabad and Jangipur have a history of poll violence. Security has been beefed up in these constituencies. Gautam Roy reports.
West Bengal has a history of electoral violence, and the third phase of polling in the state is different. At least 25 crude bombs have been found and destroyed by the police since Saturday, ahead of Tuesday's polling in Murshidabad parliamentary seat, where elections are being held along with Jangipur, Uttar and Dakshin Malda. Checking of vehicles has been intensified in the run-up to the voting, and anti-social elements are being monitored. Over 60,000 central and nearly an equal number of state police personnel have been deployed for ensuring peaceful elections.
We are looking forward to a peaceful and free and fair elections. We have tried our best to put such arrangements. The district police has tried their best to put such arrangements so as to ensure a free and fair and, most importantly, violence-free elections. Let us hope for the best.
Monday also saw the deployment of thousands of polling personnel to almost 4,000 polling stations in Murshidabad and Jangipur seats from Beharampur.
An entire stadium has been requisitioned for the deployment of thousands of polling personnel, as you can see, for the conduct of elections in 2 parliamentary seats in Murshidabad and Jangipur. All the polling personnel are here. They're collecting all that they need. It's a long and exhaustive list, but these polling personnel are dedicated to their duty of conducting free and fair elections in India.
The personnel queued up to collect polling materials and EVMs, double-checking all requirements and details.
There is a long checklist here, we are giving them food, water, or VVPAT, ballot unit, control unit, everything which is needed in their polling station. All things are here given.
It's my first time, so I am a little bit nervous, but I am also excited. It's like a festival, and everybody is very helpful, and they are, assisting us. Whenever we are, facing any difficulties, they are solving it immediately.
Polling begins sharp at 7 a.m. on Tuesday. From personnel to voters, all are looking forward to the festival of democracy. With camera person Uttam Singh, Gautam Roy in Murshidabad for DD India.
More than 8 million people are eligible to vote in the third phase of election in Assam on Tuesday. Polling will be held in the 4 constituencies of Barpeta, Dhubri, Guwahati and Kokrajhar. Tapas Bhattacharya has more.
Get ready for the final showdown in Assam's Lok Sabha election. On May 7th, the last phase of the voting will take place. The battleground is set and the contenders are gearing up for a fierce competition in the 4 Lok Sabha constituency: Barpeta, Dhubri, Kokrajhar and Guwahati. In Barpeta, a 3-corner battle awaits at CPIM's Munranjan Talukdar, AGP's Phanibhushan Chaudhary and Congress Deebayan vie for victory. With each candidate bringing their unique vision to the table, the stakes are high. Over in Dhubri, it's a triangular contest heating up the political landscape. Will All India Democratic Front's chief Badruddin Ajmal secure his 4th consecutive term, or will Congress MLA Rakibul Hussain or NDA nominee Javed Islam emerge victorious? The voters hold the power to decide. Meanwhile, in Kokrajhar, the battle lines are drawn between NDA's United People's Party Liberal nominee Jayant Basumatri, Congress Garjan Mosharari and Bodoland People's Party Front Kampa Borgarari. Who will win the heart and minds of the people in this diverse constituency? That remains to be seen. And last but not the least, all eyes are on Guwahati, where BJP's Bijuli Kalita Medhi and Congress Meerabau Thakur Goswami go head-to-head in a direct showdown. Who will emerge victorious and claim the seat in this crucial constituency? With 47 candidates vying for just 4 Lok Sabha seats, every vote counts. With camera person Naveen, this is Tapash Bhattacharya for DDI India from Assam.
All arrangements are in place in Assam for the third phase of election. There are 9,516 polling stations across the state. The Chief Electoral Officer of Assam assured that all facilities will be provided to the voters.
Assam stands poised for a momentous occasion. Phase 3 of the Lok Sabha elections will take place on Tuesday. Chief Electoral Officer Assam Anurag Goyal said that his office is working on every aspect of the electoral process and is conducted with fairness.
By and large, the elections in Assam have been peaceful so far in the first 2 phases, and with the blessings of the citizens of Assam, we have been able to conduct it in a fairly transparent manner, and with a high voter percentage turnout, nearly 80% in both the phases. The third phase, we are looking at a voting percentage of more than 85-86% on the average, while I think Dhubri is likely to go beyond 90%.
There are 9,516 polling stations. Among them, 84 are model polling stations. 14 polling stations managed by persons with webcasting will be done over 5,266 polling stations.
There are almost 9,516 polling stations which we have set up, and but many of them are in difficult areas or areas, riverine areas near international borders, where we had to send around 343 polling parties yesterday on P-2. In fact, those are the areas which are far-flung. Today also in the early hours the weather was inclement, but the weather improved in the daytime, and therefore all the polling parties have been dispatched from the locations by around 2 p.m. And as per information just which I had received is around that 4,775 polling stations parties have reached their locations.
Chief Electoral Officer also assured of minimum facilities from drinking water to ramps for persons with disability voters. 47 candidates are vying for victory, and over 8.1 million electors will decide their fate.
All preparation have been done and no stone will be unturned to make sure that voters come out in large numbers. With camera person Naveen, this is Tapash Bhattacharya for DDI India from Assam.
The Election Commission of India has stepped up voter awareness programs to increase voter participation. College students in Mainpuri in the state of Uttar Pradesh have been chosen as brand ambassadors of the Election Commission of India to educate and motivate first-time and young voters. Amit Pal Singh reports.
These are undergraduate students of a college of Mainpuri in Uttar Pradesh. They have gathered here to train as brand ambassadors of the Election Commission's sweep, or systematic voters education and electoral participation program. The program aims at educating voters about the importance of ethical voting through them.
Students of our university work like an ambassador and spread awareness on elections by visiting cities and villages. And they tell them what kind of government should be there in a democratic system so that the future of India can remain secure. In this way, the ambassador works and makes the voter aware.
By targeting educational institutions, the sweep initiative seeks to directly engage with young adults who are new or relatively new to the voting process.
It's my honor and responsibility because we have the power to choose our government, and for our better future we should go and vote.
जो हमारे पास सबसे बड़ी सुपर पावर है वो है वोट, और मेरे हिसाब से पीपल को वोट डालने ज़रूर जाना चाहिए. मैं चाहूँगी कि 7 मई को सबको वोट डालना जाना चाहिए. इम्पोर्टेंट है वोट डालने के लिए.
वोट एक ऐसी सुपर पावर है जिससे कि हम अपने देश की तकदीर बदल सकते हैं.
In the first 2 phases of polling, Uttar Pradesh had recorded one of the lowest voter turnouts.
By organizing programs like this, the Election Commission hopes that the dip that one saw in the voter turnout in phase 1 and 2 will pump up. The Election Commission is gearing up these young voters to come out and vote and strengthen democracy. With cameraman Yukesh Kumar, this is Amit Pal Singh for DDI India in Mainpuri, Uttar Pradesh.
So the third phase of election polling will be held on Tuesday. 93 seats are up for grabs. Joining me are 3 of my colleagues. who have been covering the election for us from the ground. We have Amit Pal Singh at Sambhal in Uttar Pradesh, Tapas Bhattacharya in Guwahati, Assam, and Meghna Dev at Ahmedabad in Gujarat. If I can come to you first, Tapas, what are the issues that are front and center of the election? I'm told I have to go to Ahmedabad first. All right, let me go across to Meghna Dev in Ahmedabad. Meghna, is Gujarat all set to vote on Tuesday? How would you describe the mood among the political parties and voters alike?
Well, these days, it's not just the political parties to advertise themselves, but also ensure that the voters that they have reached out to come to the polling stations to vote. So that's also what, the political parties on the ground are working as of right now, since the political campaigning has stopped yesterday evening. So they have been trying, they're going door to door and ensuring that, people tomorrow come out and vote. But there's also a lot of interest and, a lot of people are talking on social media and other places that they would want to go and vote in the first half because of obviously the scorching heat and the temperatures. Obviously, it's really hot in Gujarat especially in the region of Saurashtra, Ahmedabad, and these places are really hot. So while the Election Commission, the Chief Electoral Office has also ensured that a lot of initiatives have been taken district by district so that the voters do not face a lot of inconvenience while they come and exercise their right to vote. Especially when we talk about Ahmedabad, I'm currently present in Ahmedabad. There are 3 special kits that are being given to polling officers, the people who will be, the officials who will be present at polling booths. One is the welfare kit where they will have some refreshments as well as some things to drink so that it keeps themselves hydrated throughout the day. And they also have a hygiene kit as well as a kit, a medical kit for any kind of emergency. They will be able to use that as well. So in different places, there are heritage model booths that have been made to depict the heritage. For example, in Patan, the Patan ka patola, the beautiful handicraft that is being displayed at the beautiful handloom that is being displayed at the polling stations, or be it Rani Ki Vav from Patan. Different places have obviously, the Election Commission has brought up innovative ideas to ensure that the voters come out there to vote. But having said that, looking at 2019, the numbers of 2019, it's always been the case that the tribal areas in Gujarat, people come out in bigger numbers than the urban areas of Gujarat. So definitely this is going to be an important thing to see that do urban voters also go out of their houses to exercise their right to vote.
Right, from Ahmedabad in Gujarat, let me now go across to Guwahati in Assam, where my colleague Tapas Bhattacharya is standing by. Tapas, what are the issues that are front and center of the election in the 4 states of Barpeta, Dhubri, Guwahati and Kokrajhar?
Well, good evening, Ramesh. Let me put it this way, that out of the 4 seats, BJP has allied with the regional parties in 3 of them, both in Dhubri, they have allied, Dhubri and Barpeta, they have allied with the AGP, and then in Kokrajhar, they have allied with UPPL. And it's a direct showdown in Guwahati, where the Congress and BJP candidate are in front of each other. And apart from Guwahati, the other 3 parliamentary constituencies are in Lower Assam, and also 3 of them have one basic thing in common. What we have when we traverse through the length and breadth of this particular constituencies, that development is a core issue, especially basic infrastructure development is a major point out here. We spoke to the people out there. They said that even now some of the places in Kokrajhar, there is a problem of drinking water, sanitation, proper roads are still not there in some of the areas. Same is with Barpeta, though the magnitude of the problem is not as much as probably in Dhubri. Dhubri is one of the oldest cities in the country. In fact, it was established by the British when they came here. But since then, we have seen that it has actually lagged behind the rest of the Assam, and that's something that a lot of people are talking about, that how can they start, and it's actually at the far end of Assam. So they want basic infrastructure, they want connectivity. These are major issues that have plagued them, and they want to come out of this whole whole idea of being isolated. They want proper train services. They want an airports to be there. It's there, airport is there, but it's not functioning currently. So those are some of the core issues that they've been talking about. In Guwahati, it is not as much as the development
development per se, but it is about what kind of mandate you want to give. The people in Guwahati want to send a strong message, a mandate of what exactly they want, and probably what will happen in Guwahati will decide what will happen in Assam. So that's one major point that one realizes while covering this particular area.
Right, let me now go across to Amit Pal Singh, who is in Sambhal, Uttar Pradesh. Amrit, can the Samajwadi Party hold on to its seats, or will the Modi-Yogi duo with their poll planks of development and law and order dent the SP's sway in the region?
Well, the Modi-Yogi duo and their planks of development and law and order, improvement in law and order, and also what they call the double-engine government with Modi government at the center and the Yogi government in part in Lucknow, their coordination, it will benefit people, is surely cutting ice with people. But Samajwadi Party does have its strongholds, because the caste community combination is which has been the traditional vote bank still holds sway, and that is why perhaps the reason we see them fielding many of their family members. In fact, in the third phase that happens tomorrow, goes to polls tomorrow, 3 of the seats, Mainpuri, Badaयूं and Firozabad are being contested from within the family. And in the next phase, Akhilesh himself is contesting from Kannauj, and his cousin Dharmender Yadav from Azamgarh. So they are trying to hold the Mulayam Singh Yadav's legacy and asking votes on that emotional pitch about what Mulayam Singh Yadav did for the state. But I would say it's a close contest. One will have to see. The Samajwadi Party is very strongly in the contest, but the BJP continues to remain a dominant force. And the issues that you mentioned do influence voters and are cutting ice with the voters, Ramesh.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Amit Pal Singh at Sambhal in Uttar Pradesh and Tapas Bhattacharya in Guwahati, Assam. Thank you for now. Appreciate it. Now, the next phase, that is phase 4 of India's parliamentary election, will be held on 13th May. Political parties are holding rallies and road shows across the country. PM Narendra Modi campaigned in Odisha and Andhra Pradesh, while Congress leader Rahul Gandhi was in Madhya Pradesh. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav also are wooing voters on their home turf. Raghav Kumar Jha has more.
Prime Minister and senior BJP leader Narendra Modi has said that good governance has always been the focus of his party. Addressing a public meeting at Behrampur Lok Sabha constituency in Ganjam district of Odisha, Prime Minister Modi cited examples of Uttar Pradesh, Assam, Tripura and Chhattisgarh, where BJP governments have accelerated development after returning to power. He assured that Odisha will see the light of development only if BJP is voted to power in the state, and said that the people of Odisha have decided to support BJP.
Odisha mein बीजेडी अस्त है, कांग्रेस पस्त है और लोग बीजेपी पर आश्वस्त है और सिर्फ भाजपा उम्मीदों का नया सूरज बनकर आई है.
Prime Minister Modi also addressed a rally at Nabarangpur in Odisha, where he reiterated his government's commitment to root out corruption. Later in the day, Prime Minister Modi arrived in Andhra Pradesh, where he addressed massive public meetings in Rajamundry and Anakapalli. In his address at Rajamundry, PM charged the Indi alliance of involvement in corrupt practices in states where they are in power.
झारखंड में ईडी ने नोटों के पहाड़ खोदकर निकाले हैं. कांग्रेस के मंत्री के निजी सचिव के नौकर के पास से ये नोटों का पहाड़ निकला है. सोचिए, कांग्रेस वालों ने अपने नौकर के घर को काली कमाई का गोदाम बना रखा था.
Union Minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah held a road show at Krishnanagar in West Bengal. Later, Amit Shah addressed a rally at Durgapur, where he called upon the people to vote for Prime Minister Modi. Opposition leaders are also on whirlwind tours in various parts of the country to seek support for their candidates. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi addressed a rally in Ratlam in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh, where he categorically talked about holding caste census if voted to power.
हमने निर्णय लिया है कि हम जाति जनगणना करने जा रहे हैं। जाति जनगणना से आपको पता लग जाएगा कि आपकी आबादी कितनी है और देश की संस्थाओं में आपकी भागीदारी कितनी है।
In Uttar Pradesh, Samajwadi Party Supremo Akhilesh Yadav held a rally in Kannauj, from where he is contesting the election. On the other hand, TMC chief Mamata Banerjee held election rallies at Birbhum and Durgapur in West Bengal. Raghav Kumar Jha for DD India.
So that was all about the India elections. Take a look at now what else is making news around the world. UN nuclear watchdog chief Rafael Grossi met Iran's foreign minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian in the Iranian capital Tehran on Monday. The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency is hoping to bolster his agency's oversight of Tehran's atomic activities after various setbacks. China on Monday urged the Philippines to cease activities at the disputed atolls in the South China Sea after the Chinese Coast Guard used water cannons against the Filipino vessels. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian said that the Philippines should stop intruding into the waters of the islands in the South China Sea. Heavy rains battering Brazil's southernmost state of Rio Grande do Sul have killed at least 83 people, while more than 100 are still missing. The storms have affected more than two-thirds of the nearly 500 cities in the state, leaving more than 122,000 people displaced. The Kremlin has said that Russia's tactical nuclear weapon drills are a response to the statements from the West on sending troops to Ukraine. Russia said that it would hold a military exercise on Monday that will include tactical nuclear weapons. The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov cited comments by France's President Emmanuel Macron on possibly sending soldiers to Ukraine, as well as statements from the UK and the US. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Macron hosts Xi in Paris. Ukraine war and trade top the agenda of their talks. And Scholz visits Lithuania, reiterates Germany's support for Baltic countries.
Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz observed a live firing by German troops stationed in Lithuania. Last December, Lithuania and Germany signed an agreement on German troops' first permanent foreign deployment since World War II. A permanent German brigade of about 4,800 soldiers in Lithuania on the Russian border will be combat ready by 2027, the defense ministers of both NATO members said at the time of the signing. 1 month ago, an advance party of 20 German specialists were deployed to Lithuania in order to start setting up the brigade. Another 150 experts from Germany are due to arrive in the last quarter of 2024. Scholz said that his country stood firmly by the side of the Baltic states.
Germany stands firmly by the side of the Baltic states, and there are many reasons for that, but it is essential that we make clear that this is a serious commitment. We are responsible for one another as per the agreements made with NATO. It means that we provide protection for one another and that all countries can be sure we will defend every square centimeter of their territory.
China's President Xi Jinping met French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris on Monday. The two leaders shook hands at the Élysée Palace as Macron welcomed Xi in the French capital for a rare visit against the backdrop of mounting trade disputes with the European Union. Macron urged his Chinese counterpart to reduce trade imbalances and use his influence with Russia to resolve the conflict in Ukraine.
As agreed, I propose to first address Euro-Chinese relations, which will allow us to discuss trade issues such as access to markets and conditions of fair competition, investment and harmonious development. And secondly, we will discuss Ukraine and the Middle East, two major crises where coordination between us is absolutely decisive.
European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen was present in the Macron-Xi meeting. Von der Leyen said that China and Europe share common interests in peace and security, but they have differences on issues linked to market access and trade.
Both China and the European Union have a shared interest in peace and security and in the effective functioning of the rules-based international order, especially against a backdrop of a very turbulent environment, be it in Europe, in the Middle East, or in East Asia.
And in a statement after meeting Chinese President Xi Jinping on Monday, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that the EU is looking at China to influence Russia to end its long-standing conflict with Ukraine.
We agree that Europe and China have a shared interest in peace and security. We count on China to use all its influence on Russia to end Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. President Xi has played an important role in de-escalating Russia's irresponsible nuclear threats, and I'm confident that President Xi will continue to do so against the backdrop of the ongoing nuclear threats by Russia.
And Ross Cullen has more from Paris.
Well, this is the first visit by the Chinese president to Europe since 2019, and he spent Monday morning local time in discussions with Emmanuel Macron, his host, but also President Ursula von der Leyen from the European Commission, because there are trade tensions at the moment between Europe and China. We know that Beijing has launched its own anti-dumping investigation into French brandy exports. Europe is investigating Chinese subsidies related to wind turbines, solar panels, electric cars, also into China's procurement of medical devices. So there is a bit of a fraught situation when it comes to the commercial situation between Paris, Brussels and Beijing, hoping that they're able to sort that out, because Ursula von der Leyen saying on Monday morning local time that we must avoid misunderstandings. She went on to say we must address these issues responsibly. We cannot have state-induced overcapacity, unequal market access and over-dependencies. Monday afternoon local time is when it will be the chance for Emmanuel Macron and Xi Jinping to have one-on-one bilateral discussions, and that comes after they visit Invalides, which is a former military hospital, resplendent in gold. Is where Napoleon is buried. So there are formal ceremonies ongoing throughout Monday here in Paris to celebrate and mark the visit by the Chinese president, and it will be culminating later in a state dinner. In Paris, Ross Cullen reporting for DD India.
All right, moving on. People in Chad went to the polls on Monday, 3 years after their military leader seized power. Mohamed Idris Deby, who seized power the day rebels killed his long-ruling father in April 2021, has promised to bolster security, strengthen the rule of law and increase electricity production. Monday's vote pits Deby against his prime minister, previously a political opponent who fled into exile in 2022 but was allowed back a year later. Ajak Mangut reports from Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, which shares a border with Chad.
polls opened at about 7 a.m. local time and are expected to close at 5 p.m. According to the country's electoral body, more than 8 million people registered to vote in the elections that will see a transition from military to democratic rule. 10 candidates, including transitional president Mohamed Idris Deby Itno, are contesting in the election. Yaya Dillo, an opposition politician who had been expected to run against Deby, was shot and killed in the capital Jamena in February, the day the election date was announced. The winner of the election is expected to garner 50% of the votes. If no candidate wins more than 50% of the votes, a runoff will be held on June 22nd. Provisional results are expected by May 21st and final results by June 5th. Ajak Mangut in Abuja, reporting for DD India.
The 31st edition of the Arabian travel market kicked off on Monday in Dubai with the theme Empowering Innovation, Transforming Travel Through Entrepreneurship. Challenging the notion being too hot for summer travel, India put the spotlight on summer getaways at the Arabian Travel Market 2024 by launching the Cool Summers of India campaign. The campaign seeks to promote India as a holistic destination throughout the year. Consul General of India to Dubai, Satish Kumar Shivan, inaugurated the Incredible India Pavilion. The 4-day ATM provides Indian players an opportunity to network and attract visitors from various parts of the world.
So I'm expecting people to come and explore medical tourism in India. Our main focus is Ayurveda, Panchkarma treatments and other distress programs, etc. Please come to Rajkot and have a nice visit.
Israel's military on Monday carried out airstrikes in Rafa targeting Hamas hideouts. The strikes took place hours after Israel told the Palestinians to evacuate parts of the southern Gaza city. For its part, Hamas says that any Israeli ground assault in Rafah would not be a picnic for the Israeli military. The Palestinian group that it said it was prepared to defend Rafah. Meanwhile, Egypt's military has raised its level of preparedness in northern Sinai, which borders the Gaza Strip. Dheeraj Das reports.
As the world awaits a ceasefire deal to come through in the ongoing Israel-Hamas armed conflict, life across Israel came to a halt on Monday morning as a 2-minute siren blared, marking a solemn moment of silence in honor of Holocaust Remembrance Day in the backdrop of the October 7th Hamas attacks. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog attended a wreath-laying ceremony at the Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial Museum in Jerusalem. Some soldiers also marked the day at a Nova Museum festival site in Reem, the site of the bloodiest incident in Hamas' October 7th attack on southern Israel. Fears are growing of a full-blown assault in Rafah, long threatened by Israel against holdouts of Hamas, as ceasefire talks in Cairo remain inconclusive. Israel's military carried out ground assault on Hamas in the southern Gazan city of Rafah on Monday, hours after Israel told Palestinians to evacuate in eastern parts of Rafah to move to a nearby humanitarian area. Israel said armed forces had begun the evacuation of civilians out of Rafah ahead of a ground assault on Hamas. The Israeli Defense Forces have said it had expanded a humanitarian area at Al-Mawasi to accommodate the increased level of aid flowing into Gaza. Earlier, Israel launched a counter-strike on Rafah after 3 Israeli soldiers were killed in a Hamas attack near the Palestinian city. Responding to the operations, Hamas said any ground operation in Rafah will not be a picnic for Israeli forces. Hamas also called on humanitarian organizations, including the UN's refugee agency for Palestinians, UNRWA, not to leave Rafah. Meanwhile, Egypt has raised its military level of preparedness in northern Sinai, which borders Gaza. The European Union, France and Jordan reiterated their opposition to any offensive in Rafah. The Rafah plan has opened an unusually public rift between Israel and Washington, which has repeatedly warned its ally not to attack the city because of potential civilian casualties. Dheeraj Das report for DD India.
Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden spoke to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on humanitarian aid for Gaza. A statement from the White House says that Netanyahu assured the U.S. president that the Kerem Shalom crossing between Israel and Gaza will remain open for humanitarian aid. During the call on Monday, Biden also reiterated his clear position on Rafa. And Sarah Coates joins us from Tel Aviv for more. Sarah, what more can you tell us about the evacuations from Rafa? How many people would have left or be leaving?
Hello there, Ramesh. Well, we do know that these flyers began dropping from the sky in the very early hours of this morning, telling people in the east of Rafa that they need to get out now, with the military saying that it would be conducting a limited scope operation, but saying it would use extreme force in the eastern part of Rafa. Now, this will affect some 100,000 internally displaced people. They're being told to go to Al-Mawasi and also to Khan Yunis, which is a little further north of Rafa. But the thing is, these people on the ground, they say, Ramesh, that they simply have no safe place to go. They say they have no safe place to go and they have no way of getting there. Now, the problem here is that Rafa was really being serviced the best, I think you could say, out of all of these areas where people were crowding. But in these other areas, there is a lot of fear that there will not be things like sanitation, there will not be water, and there will not be food. So this, of course, is prompting outcry from the international community and also aid groups. We've heard from Jordan's Foreign Minister, Ayman Safadi. He says that this operation needs to stop and it's another massacre in the making, while Egypt's Foreign Ministry is calling on Israel to exercise the highest level of restraint. Now, UNRWA, the Palestinian Refugee Agency, which has been one of the largest distribution points of aid on the ground in Gaza throughout this war, it says it will not evacuate. It will continue its work down in Rafa, while UNICEF is also warning of a catastrophe for children, with 600,000 children alone believed to be sheltering down in Rafa. Now, it's important to point out that there's still no timeline on when we can expect this full-scale military operation down in Rafa, but we have been hearing from the Israeli military that it would happen with or without a deal, Ramesh.
Right, and are the ceasefire operations, the negotiations, I beg your pardon, and release of hostages, how are those talks progressing, Sarah?
Well, they are certainly at a very, very sensitive point, to say the very least. We've heard from a Hamas official in the last hour saying that they are suspending these talks pending the results of mediation efforts. Now, we've also heard from Israel's Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant. He says that Hamas's refusal of a deal forces us to start this Rafah operation. So certainly both sides here are trading blame. Israel believes that it made quite a lot of concessions, but Hamas didn't agree. But really, the main sticking point here, of course, in these mediation efforts is the end to this war. Hamas wants a full, comprehensive ceasefire, which is certainly something that Israel isn't willing to give, given that it believes the last 4 Hamas battalions and also some of Hamas's key leaders like Yahya Sinwar, that they are hiding down in Rafah, where we can expect this military operation to begin at some stage. Ramesh.
Sarah, thank you. Sarah Coates reporting there from Tel Aviv. All right, now take a look at what else is making news around the world. In a swift and coordinated sea-air operation, the Indian Coast Guard intercepted and detained an Iranian fishing vessel in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Kerala. The vessel, carrying 6 Indian crew employed on a contractual basis in Iran, was apprehended after allegations of exploitation and mistreatment by the boat's owner. The boat has been brought to Kochi for further investigation. The Enforcement Directorate on Monday conducted raids at multiple locations in Ranchi and recovered Indian currency worth $250 million from the house of a domestic help who is linked to the Secretary of the Jharkhand Rural Development Minister, Alamgir Alam. The agency conducted the raids under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The National Testing Agency on Monday denied reports that a question paper of the National Eligibility cum Entrance Test Undergraduate 2024 was leaked. It said that the reports are baseless. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. Jose Raul Mulino wins the presidential election in Panama. And carpets decorated the streets of Baku over the weekend as Azerbaijan observed National Carpet Weaver Day.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Going back to our top story in India's election, with the mercury rising, commuting for work becomes all the more difficult for some in India. But wait, not so for the women in Indore, which has the unique distinction of being the cleanest city in the country. Indore has something cool to offer. Vishal Barrister hops on to a bus with an all-woman staff that ferries only women passengers.
It's the best deal on wheels. A very proud Ritu drives through the central Indian city of Indore. Ritu has been driving this special bus for quite some time with a sense of immense responsibility.
It gives me a lot of pride as I drive these women to their destinations.
This is a special bus only meant for ladies, and Ritu is equally supported by Pushpa, the conductor of the bus.
I feel very good working as a conductor of the bus.
A safe, comfortable and smooth ride that does not hurt your pocket. This bus has a lot to offer for the eves in the city. This special bus is called I-Bus. I means me, and I in the regional language of Marathi also means mother. In the hustle and bustle of daily life and the heat of summer, this bus is an absolute luxury for these women. Let's find out what do they have to say about this facility.
About 6 months I've been traveling in I-Bus, and the facilities that I-Bus provide are real-time CCTV, so the traveling is safe in I-Bus, and there are route performance indicators in the I-Bus as well as, and the fares are also normal, so it is very safe to travel in I-Bus.
Run by the Atal Indore City Transport Limited, this electric bus is very popular with the students as well.
I'm traveling in this bus since 2 years, and I find this bus really nice, and because I've seen this first time it's a full women centric bus, so I like this bus.
I've been traveling in this bus for past 2-3 years now, and this bus is extremely comfortable and nice, and I love this bus a lot.
Available all 7 days in a week, the bus covers a distance of 11.5 kilometers and has 21 stops in between. With cameraman Manmohan in Indore, Vishal Barrister for DD India.
West Bengal's Jangipur parliamentary seat is home to India's best village tourism site. But villagers say that apart from their work on building a temple, the pace of development in the village of Kiriteshwari is not in step with its elevated status. Gautam Roy reports.
The Mata Kiriteshwari temple is the centerpiece of the village by the same name. It got the Indian Tourism Ministry's Best Village Tourism Award in 2023 and is awaiting development of infrastructure like guest houses and other amenities around it using Member of Parliament funds. The temple itself is new and also ancient. The concrete structure with its dome shaped like a pagoda is more recent, but there are remnants of the original temple as well, which is said to be 1,000 years old. Kiriteshwari is one of the 51 Shakti Peeths, which are important places of worship in Shaktism in the Hindu faith. Legend has it that different parts of Lord Shiv's first wife, goddess Sati, fell in various places after she self-immolated.
This is a Shakti Peeth. The temple has an exalted history, but it's been a little muddled. Some say the Devi's forehead fell here, some say crown. But it was actually her skull, and all three parts fell here.
The religious significance and the best tourism award notwithstanding, there were hardly any visitors on a hot May day at the village.
Due to excessive heat, tourists are not arriving, but whenever there is a festival, the footfall increases.
Villagers say lack of commuting facilities comes in the way of the village reaping the benefits of its vaulted status. Some other basic amenities are also missing from the village.
Nothing has been done yet. What we need here, first of all, is a functional hospital. People die here without oxygen. The hospital is 8-10 kilometers away. Arrival of tourists has gone up after the award, and puja is also done very well here. Some development is also taking place in the village slowly.
A water treatment plant is coming up nearby to supply Ganga river water to the region, but the village is mostly agrarian. Its voters say if its tourism potential is developed further, everyone in the village will benefit.
Courtesy the Best Tourism Award given last year, the signs of development have begun to become visible in Kiriteshwari village, largely centered around this pilgrimage temple behind me. In time of elections just around the corner on the 7th of May in the Jangipur Lok Sabha constituency, the villagers here want that the pace of development should be picked up. With camera person Uttam Singh, Gautam Roy, Jangipur, DD India.
On an average, unprecedented number of jobs were created in India in the last 7 to 8 years. A former IMF executive director, Surjit Bhalla, has said that never before in Indian history have so many jobs been created on an average basis. Close to 10 million jobs over the last 7 to 8 years were created. Bhalla said that despite a high GDP growth, the period between 2004 and 2013 had the least job growth.
The data on jobs is obtained from the PLFS surveys, which have started in 2017-18, and the NSS surveys, which were there prior to 2017-18. The smallest growth period for jobs was between 2004 and 2011. And remember, that period has been talked about as the one with the highest GDP growth rate and the smallest job growth. I would give you that basically in those 7 years, the annual job gain was only about 2.5 million jobs. From 2011 to 2022, 9 million jobs were created per year. So you have a very stark difference between the period, the UPA period from 2004 to 2011 and the NDA period, which really starts in 2014. So I'm taking the two endpoints, and the two endpoints suggest that there was an annual growth of 9 million jobs a year.
Explaining the reasons for this growth, Bhalla said that the environment for growth and employment had vastly improved, with infrastructure spending being the key multiplier.
Good policies beget good policies. Right. So you have an environment where conducive to growth and conducive to employment. In addition, there were several policies, the Mudra policies, for example. Growth itself became much more oriented towards the, if you will, the middle section. There was the reform of the MSME sector that has provided, and in general, the economic circumstances were such that people also went out to work. If I have to pick one policy that has contributed to this healthy job growth, it is infrastructure investments.
In other news, Jose Raul Mulino has won the presidential election in Panama. Mulino secured 34% of the vote. He'll be inaugurated on the 1st of July for a 5-year term. Mulino had served as Interior and Security Minister during a former leader, Ricardo Martinelli's government between 2009 and 2014. The judge in Donald Trump's criminal trial fined him $1,000 and held him in contempt of court for a 10th time on Monday for violating a gag order, and he warned that further violations could land the former president in jail. Justice Juan Merchant said the $9,000 fines he had imposed so far did not seem to be deterring the wealthy business mogul from violating the order, which bars him from speaking publicly about jurors and witnesses in the first criminal trial of a former U.S. president. Carpets decorated the streets of Baku on Sunday as Azerbaijan celebrated National Carpet Weaver Day. The carpets came in various patterns and colors. The Azerbaijani carpet weaving was enlisted as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity in the year 2010. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Up. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download it now. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website